Gorj County is both a place where you can meet amazing tourist attractions and a real treasure of genuine Romanian popular customs and traditions. These lofty mountains head out of the clouds proudly as they carry on their shoulders one of the oldest roads known by man. Transalpina is the highest built road in Romania. From the beginning of time, Parung Mountains have guarded between two Romanian regions called today Oltenia and Transylvania. It is also called the way that rises to the clouds, as it reaches 2,145 meters high and then descends to Runca, the most important alpine resort of Gorj. Situated at 1,650 meters high, it is the highest alpine resort in Romania. The tourist trails, the peaks of Parung, Transalpina and the ski slopes make Runca one of the most sought-after holiday destinations. Runca is an inspired choice in any season, mostly for the fans of winter sports, but also for those who wish to get rid of the city congestion. The excellent services, but also ever greater number of guest houses and hotels fully contribute to the development of the representative resort of Gorj County. Among the regions of a rare beauty in Gorj, a place apart is held by the Olteț Gorge, the narrowest canyon in Europe, located between two mountain massives. The sun rays come down along the limestone wall, but cross with difficulty the lush vegetation that forms a roof of plants. What seems to be a thread of water flowing quietly at the bottom of this abyss is in fact a cold and swift river. For millions of years it has dug patiently in the mountain stone, leaving behind its masterpiece, the cave of Polovrage, which is located on the left bank of the river. Renowned all over the world for its length, the cave has almost 10 kilometers of explored galleries, but also many unexplored ones. Being also called Zamolxi's Cave, the underground place still has hidden secrets, myths and legends. It is said that the Ghetto-Dacian god Zamolxis started from here, his sacred place, and crossed the mountain in underground secret galleries to the old Dacian fortress of Sarmizecetuza. Close to the Olteț Gorge, near Baia de Fier village, there opens the Yellow Gorge. Like the sturdy man in the fairy tale, the yellow river waters made their way among the rocks of the Parung. That is how the Women's Cave was born, the most popular and the most visited speleological landmark in Romania. The cave has a storied structure on 3 levels of galleries that measure more than 3.5 kilometers long. Archaeological excavations here brought out many traces of habitation during the Paleolithic, but also animal bones of hyena, lion and bear. Less than half an hour distance from Târgu, the Sohodol Gorge opens in front of the nature lover. This canyon of a bewildering beauty continues with the Sohodol Valley, which goes up 10 more kilometers towards the heart of the mountain. In the gorges and on the summits, the tourist is greeted by a host of caves and rock formations shaped by the weather conditions. The best known of these is the Stone Ring or the Lady's Ring. Many people believe that these giant rocks, through which water has made its way with difficulty, are the most beautiful gorges in the country. The richness and beauty of the place determined the authorities to declare the region a protected area of national interest. The Bystryca River of Gorj is a tumultuous water painfully making its way through the Vulcan mountain range, crossing places of a wild beauty. The water trapped here, together with a culvert system on the rivers Cerna and Motru, make up the Cerna-Motru-Tismana hydropower complex, one of the largest hydroelectric improvements in Romania. There have been built 2 dams over this rough water during the last decades, Vaja and Clocotiș. The dammed lakes match perfectly with the natural surroundings. The Jiu Gates, bathed in autumn colors, seems a corner of heaven hidden between the Vulcan and Parung mountains. Like in a blessing, the sky touches the mountains on their heads, while the clouds float on their temples. The sun covers the valleys and lawns in warm attires made of light. In autumn, the forests of Gorj become rivers of color. A peace as it from the beginning of time surrounds these places of a magic beauty, where every blade of grass or leaf seems placed on the right spot. They are the places where the fathers and forefathers of these places herded their flocks of sheep. They are the places where, in hard times, they protected them against dangers. They offered them refuge, hope, and always a new beginning. The fathers and forefathers created an ancient song, the Doina, full of sorrow and longing, out of the rustle of the valleys and the silence of the mountains. The glades deepen down to the foot of the mountain, then rise on the forefronts of the lawns towards the peaks beyond the forests and rivers. They are loaded with rich grasses, healing weeds, and wild, beautiful flowers. The whole landscape offers an unparalleled show, where the sky, the mountains, the forests and the glades spread a warm purity. It is no coincidence that Gorj is said to be a heaven in miniature. The region of Gorj was endowed with everything the sport and adventure lovers wish. A good shot of adrenaline besides very fresh air. The varied relief ensures perfect conditions for off-road and enduro. The maze of forest roads and the grasslands that rise to the alpine areas offer not only technical elements for a four-wheel drive adventure, but also lovely landscapes. The routes are varied. Some have a very high degree of difficulty, some are average, while the easiest ones are fit even for those having their first AWD adventure. Certainly, the best-known sport for adventure tourism in Gorj is rafting. The GENIUL offers the best conditions in the country for practicing tourist and sports rafting in the region of the GENIUL Gates between the Vulcan and the Parang mountains. Going down the river is done in inflatable boats, driven by qualified instructors. All these on a water circuit with routes between 10 and 40 kilometers of different degrees of difficulty, with rapids, waterfalls and meanders which ensure all the necessary conditions for an unforgettable adventure. Adrenaline and water sports addicts have a lot of time at their disposal, as the season opens on the GENIUL in March and ends in October. Gorj running waters offer not only whirlpools, waterfalls and an inspiring landscape, but also spectacular hollows. Exploring underwater caves is a unique experience for scuba diving fans. Even if they seem scenes taken from an adventure film, they are as real as possible and can be fully lived here in Gorj, the realm of the unexplored mysteries. Among the natural wonders of Gorj are the numberless potholes, which are caves that have their main gallery developed vertically from 10 to 150 meters deep. These potholes attract not only speleologists but also more adventurous tourists who, attended by instructors, can discover the secrets of the underground. Many of the potholes stretch hundreds of meters in galleries dug in chalk, while the water has created real works of art, concretions of the ceiling and walls, and wonderful basins full of water. There are places less known to the public, but have already become milestones on the map of the Romanian speleological tourism. In this wealth of forms and minerals, stalactites and stalagmites, the bats in the cave don't seem to be scared of the uninvited guests. In the end, there remains the invaluable feeling given by the exploration of dark places, narrow sectors, a world hidden to the sight of those above, but always open to those who wish to discover the secrets of the earth. Canyoning is a relatively new sport, very much loved in the US and Europe, which is practiced more and more in our country too. It was introduced in Romania for the first time in Gorj, and today the most attractive route is in Shipotu Valley in the Vulcan Mountains. It offers not only easy motor access, but also a natural environment which can hardly be found in Europe. Though it seems dangerous, it is a recreational activity, so it can be done by anyone regardless of age, physical training or technical knowledge. The extraordinary environment with virgin forests, clean waters, stone walls and strong torrents, besides climbing or descending natural obstacles, but mainly the sensation of the stream of the waterfall, make canyoning an activity that offers unprecedented satisfactions and unforgettable memories. Known ever since the Romans, the thermal waters of Saccello make miracles for people's health. The curing mud of Saccello is the oldest and most efficient solution against rheumatism and muscle aches. Everything non-invasive and painless, absolutely natural and beneficial for everybody's health. At the foothill of Polovrach stone, close to the Oltets Gorge, a rich and blessed inheritance of Gorj has guarded for more than 5 centuries. It is the Polovrach Monastery. The church is dedicated to the Assumption of the Virgin, being surrounded by cells and a wall that form a real defending fortress. The painting of the church, kept intact, has a priceless value, both for iconography and as a technical achievement. The Icon Monastery is a slice of heaven located under the Parun Mountains. A profound, peaceful atmosphere of prayer surrounds this oasis of quietude. The wooden churches of Gorj bear witness of a civilization of the wood, with its roots deeply anchored in history. These treasures of Romanian architecture and iconography, made up masterly of the most accessible material, tell us about a very rich traditional culture. Motifs such as the frieze, the cross, the tree of life or the snake decorate all those over 200 wooden churches in Gorj, 119 of them being on the list of historical monuments. Lineage Monastery is called the Bride of the Jugate due to its facade of a spotless white. The beginning of the monastic settlement is lost in the dark Middle Ages, somewhere in the 14th century. Nevertheless, tradition mentions that it was set up by Saint Nicodim of Tismana, the renowned Wallachian hermit. Due to the great number of pilgrims, another place of worship was built near the old church. It is the largest friary in Gorj, a connection between the sky and the earth, and a meeting place for the Romanians everywhere. The oldest monastic settlement in Wallachia, Tismana is the greatest monastery across the world. Tradition has it that even Saint Nicodim, the defender of Oltenia and founder of the monastery, was charmed by the beauty of the place. The church, a real art monument, is located in the very middle of the yard. The narthex still preserves the original picture of 1564. Made of vegetable colors, it is the oldest Byzantine picture in Wallachia. All the known Romanian saints are painted in the nave. The church treasure is completed by the gilded altar with royal icons, the candelabrum and the pew, all of an inestimable value. The residence of Gorj County is in Târgu city. An old town mentioned for the first time during Mircea the Old Reign has taken its name from the river that crosses it. The town was first documentary testing during the reign of Michael the Brave. A century later, the town was already the capital of Gorj. The Romanian Constantin Brâncuși from Gorj, considered the father of modern sculpture, gave Târgu an invaluable creation. A symbol of the victorious passing through the gate of life, the Kiss Gate seems a passing gateway toward another realm. The motif of the union between man and woman was polished by Brâncuși into essence, to the idea of kiss. There are 12 clepsydras at the Silence Gate, 12 stools, one for each hour of the day or night, one for each apostle, and in the middle a round table, perfect, brought from the ancient world of the Romanian village. The endless column is a world axis, meant to support the celestial dome forever, to elevate the spirit, to enter eternity. Brâncuși said, "Go, cuddle the infinity column with wide open palms. Then, raising your eyes, look at it, and you will thus know the essence of the sky." Probably the best-known creation of Brâncuși, the endless column, is considered to be the top of modern art and also the artistic symbol of Romania. Admiration for his genius and the desire to know his origins guide many tourists to Holbița, the native village of the man who made Romania known all over the world. Brâncuși Memorial House shelters interesting aspects of the village life in Gorj, the art of working wood, which is representative for the craft of carving, traditional beams and pillars in Gorj, which Brâncuși based his creation upon. The ancestral civilization of wood is best understood in a natural setting, seemingly taken out of the history books at only 10 kilometers away from Târgu. The Museum of Popular Architecture in Curtișoara is the treasury where 24 representative households of the villages of Gorj are located, all of them being on the list of historical monuments. Time seems to have stood still in this place, untouched by modern building materials and techniques. This museum comprises everything that represents popular culture in this part of the country. This rich inheritance stretches over a ground that reproduces at a small scale all the relief forms of the county. There are gathered together in Curtișoara rich men's fortified houses specific to the region, and simple wooden houses made by the skillful hands of the peasants. In today's Tulcinești, the 45 house of Catiu, the residence of Usher Enoche Cartianu, was built some 250 years ago. The interior has hosted the Museum of Ethnography and Popular Art of Gorj since 2004. There are exhibited invaluable popular costumes and household items. Cartianu House is being considered representative for the Romanian architecture in the 18th century. The Art Museum of Târgu is located close to the monumental ensemble The Hero's Way. It is a place that impresses with the elegance and artistic value of the exhibited works. There can be admired items from the 17th century belonging to the Flemish and Italian schools, but also works signed by remarkable local artists. The Art Museum is, in essence, a place of meditation in front of some exceptional exhibits. There are sheltered here works of the great Romanian classics, but also absolutely impressive works of modern and contemporary art. From ancient times, the clay, water and fire came to life in the potter's hands. It was a craft dedicated exclusively to men in the past. Situated at the border between craft and art, pottery was both a way of making the necessary things for the household and a means of artistic expression. It is still practiced in a few traditional centers in Gorj, enjoying a great appreciation. The woolen carpet, used in the past as a rug in the good room, became a rarity lately, but a valuable object at the same time. Even today, in a few workshops of Gorj, like in old times, the carpets are woven manually, thread by thread, in vertical looms. The yarns are colored with vegetable pigments, giving the carpets a special chromatic aspect and a touch of uniqueness. Naturally, a lot of toil, know-how and patience are needed from the first to the last shirt of the Romanians. Simple and complex at the same time, with cutting details and specific elements, it must be painstakingly and skillfully sewn. This valuable piece of the traditional Romanian costume is adorned with old symbols that bear deep meanings. The people of Gorj can boast themselves with some of the most beautiful embroidered shirts and popular costumes in Romania. The wedding is the most spectacular event of a village in Gorj. A magical moment, loaded with myths and symbols. It concentrates the whole community around the young couple. The event starts on Saturday or even Friday, when the invitation to the wedding is launched. Each guest who accepts to take part to the party has to taste the plum brandy in the full flask. A symbol of youth and eternal life, the fir tree is adorned by the groom's friends or closer guests. On Sunday morning, when it is the wedding day, the attendants start firstly toward the godfather's house. Usually, the wedding godparents are the birth godparents of the bridegroom. Tradition says that these spiritual parents advise and teach the youngsters to avoid the worst. Then they all return to the house of the groom's parents, where the groom is prepared for the wedding. The son-in-law is dressed in a lovely celebration outfit and then shaved by his godfather. Escorted by the attendants, the girl first goes to the well to take clear water, the symbol of a clean beginning, and prays to God to help her in her new life. Then the groom's train arrives at the bride's house. After a small theatrical moment, they are allowed to enter. everybody is waiting for the bride, who finally shows up. She is dressed up with pomp, fitted with veil, but also symbolically mourned because she parts with her family. The actual wedding, or the wedding party, takes place in the groom's house. The newlyweds receive honey on the same spoon, a symbol of their union, but also of a good, wealthy life, sweet as honey. Once the wedding starts, it is difficult to keep the pace with the natives. Like in a fairy tale, the party continues for 3 days and 3 nights, while the new family happily lives ever after. Shepherding is an important part of the traditional culture and one of the basic occupations of the mountain people. In the highlands of Gorj, many people earn their living shepherding. The sheepfold is the natural laboratory where cheese is made, one of the oldest and most nourishing foodstuffs in human culture. Over time, the secrets and the craft of making sheep milk products passed from generation to generation, preserving thus unaltered forms of these ancient occupations. The shepherds are most of the time hospitable with those passing the threshold of the sheepfold. The traveller is invited to dinner and feasted with goodies that preserve the strong flavour of the mountain and the rich grass. A fine hominy near a plate of fresh milk or a hot chunk taken from the fire will appease his hunger and fill his soul with joy. All these things happen only in the blessed land of Gorj, a place which is always waiting for you to discover. Come to Brâncuși's homeland.